On this episode of Why Watch That?
Horror.
You're not horror.
I say
you
horror.
Midwesterners. Horror.
I know. It's also
horrible.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
You know what?
Well, Vondie Curtis Hall is there. I will cherish this experience for the rest of my life. Okay, that's Vondie.
Candyman.
Well, you're not looking at a mirror, so that's okay.
I'm not, but I am looking at a camera, so I can see myself. I was going to say murderer, but that's a little too... This kind of terror, striking the projects.
And from this hole comes a piece of candy. Bleep, bleep, bleep. It goes.
Don't take it.
Then he sees something in the hole.
Oh, Lord.
Ah!
Oh, you're terrible.
Why Watch That is a podcast featuring the critic
and referee who go head-to-head on a quest to discover the best movies
and TV shows Hollywood has to offer. Expect the unexpected from the critic.
Well, nothing gets past the ref.
We do all the work,
so you don't have to. Welcome to Why Watch That.
Critic?
Yes.
Critic!
What?
Have you heard? We just got a Buy Me a Coffee page.
What's that?
Boy, come on. It's a place where listeners can support our work for as little as $5. $5. Pretty much the price of a coffee.
I don't drink no coffee. What you talking about?
Well, you don't drink anything but water and eat raw potatoes. But I guess they can buy you a popcorn. How about that?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, right.
Well, everyone, look, visit buymeacoffee.com/WhyWatchThat to support our work or purchase our valuable resources.
Yeah, you know what? We just added the TV trackers to help you curate a collection of shows you'll love to watch.
So find this and more ways to support us at buymeacoffee.com/WhyWatchThat.
So, Critic, are you going to buy me a coffee?
Maybe.
A Why Watch That first look.
Well, you know what? It's been a little bit. We have not been in hiding. There's a lot happening to Why Watch That. Just FYI, we'll get into that maybe at some later time. But we did want to sneak in and talk about some sneak peek and a first look that we have that you can currently partake in for one and very, very soon for the other. So let's dive right in and talk about The Night House, which is our first movie that we're going to talk about. It is a first look because it is out. Currently, you can figure out how to see that in the theater. I have a feeling this is one of those movies that we'll be able to soon access pretty quickly on demand. So just, relax a little bit and let's talk about the fact that David Bruckner directed this, and it was written by Ben Collins and Luke Piotrowski. It stars Rebecca Hall, and we love her because she's one of those artists who dips in and out of acting and directing. She did that one with the
Passing.
Yes, Passing, which was a super interesting, and she has her own story, and so all of that was interesting to see her directing with that. Sarah Goldberg is also in it. Vondie Curtis Hall, Stacy Martin, on and on with people. This is a horror, as I can't say it the way you do it. Horror. It's very East
horror.
Coast. Horror.
You're not horror.
I say
you
horror.
Midwesterners. Horror.
I know. It's also
horrible.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
You know what? You go ahead and move to the Midwest one day. You'll be
Boise.
But it's also a thriller. So this isn't just, slashing, throughout everything. We've got something happening here. And here's the deal. This is in the theaters right now. And it came out August 20th. And as of taping, that's been some time. So do we run to the theaters to see this? Or is this something, especially if it's a thriller, horror, It's one of those. Then maybe it's something we could enjoy at home at a later time.
Exactly. Well, let's come to that last, of course. So this is what's going on. Rebecca, because you rolled the R,
I did.
plays a widow. She's recently widowed, and she has to come to grips with that. Can she? Will she? Does it even faze her? And she works as a teacher. I think it's like high school. And we see an encounter between her and one of her students' mothers. The mother comes in, and she goes all out. Non plus. That's what happens here. So what is that exchange like?
Translation, please.
Oh, it's just, this is a joke from The Devil Wears Prada when Simon says to Anne Hathaway about the boyfriend. The boyfriend non plus, no more. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no more in French. Okay, so we go, ooh, okay, like she will check you with what happened. What happened to the husband is the question. Now, she has friends. They work at the school with her, one of whom is played by Sarah Goldberg. And Sarah's really concerned about her because when she starts to detail what happened to her husband, the way she's doing it and the story behind it is disturbing for everyone involved. Does Rebecca seem disturbed? I won't tell you. Now, at home, she's in the home where, that she bought with her husband. They built it up. And she's alone. And she starts to hear things and see things. Messages come to her at night. Is she dreaming? Is it a figment of her imagination? Is there a ghost? Is it her husband? What's going on? There's something that happened to her in her past that's tied into this. Is it tied into her husband's death? I can't tell you. Now, there is somebody.
Of course it is.
Well, I like to posit questions. It doesn't mean it's going to come to fruition.
No, right.
Now, she lives by a lake, by the way. This is, nice living. And one of the neighbors who's very close and was close to her, was close to her husband, is played by Vondie Curtis Hall. Yes.
Moral of the story, don't live by lakes. That's where just don't do it.
Well, Vondie Curtis Hall is there. I will cherish this experience for the rest of my life. Okay, that's Vondie. So Vondie is like, hey, you okay? She's seeing things. She checks in with him to see if he's seeing it as well. And the question is, why is Vondie Curtis Hall in this movie? What does he know? What is he involved in? So all of this starts to come to a head. We figure out the truth of the situation with her. And the question is, what state will she be in at the end of the night house?
Uh-oh.
Now, when I was watching this, I was like, okay, indie horror movie. That's what I was thinking to myself. It's like light A24, light neon, where, people could access it, that kind of thing. But it's not, your normal horror movie, folks. This is atmospheric. Now, what does atmospheric mean? Critics use this, people in the know use this, and normal people are like, what is atmospheric? Here's what it means, everybody. It means it's not straightforward and it's slow. That's atmospheric.
Yep.
That's this movie. It's like the atmospheric counterpoint to The Invisible Man.
Yeah. The recent with the
Elizabeth Moss.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. There you go. So should you see it in a theater? You don't have to. I mean, if you are an atmospheric person, maybe. Otherwise, could you just check it out if it pops up on your television? Yeah, and see how far you get. I didn't mind it. It wasn't bad, but it didn't draw me in. It didn't scare me or anything like that. I've seen this kind of thing before.
Well, speaking of seeing this kind of thing before,
a Why Watch That sneak peek.
We have, I don't know what to call it. Is it a reboot? Is it a sequel? Is it a prequel sequel? You're going to get into those details.
A prequel sequel. I like that.
Yes. Candyman.
Oh, don't. Well, you're not looking at a mirror, so that's okay.
I'm not, but I am looking at a camera, so I can see myself.
Mhm.
So
I don't know that counts. See, that's a good question. I like that.
is it?
Mhm.
That is a movie. If you remember back in the 80s, 90s, there was the movie of the same title
Yes.
that spooked the crap out of everybody.
Tony
It
Todd.
really, really, really was a disturbing movie when you see a hive of bees come out of somebody's mouth. And but anyway, it really did. It took the industry by storm because it was, marketed as an urban, and I had quotes going, urban.
That's what they called it back then, urban. Mhm.
Urban horror film, and it became a cult classic, is what happened. It became a cult classic because we have not seen this kind of. I was going to say murderer, but that's a little too. This kind of this kind of terror, striking the projects.
Yeah.
So when this comes to us, well, first of all, it's going to come to you all and us on the 27th of August. So that's just right around the corner. I mean, boy, either you're going to listen to this and it's available that day or the day before. So it really is one of those movies that they're hoping to get you into the seats. Mm-hmm. And by they, I mean Nia DaCosta. And we know who that is. And by they, I also mean Jordan Peele. But he's not alone. Win Rosenfeld wrote with him, and then Nia wrote on top of them. You've got Candyman. And of course, it's coming to us from Universal, which Jordan Peele, I believe, has an overall with, and really, Blumhouse is under that. So they really love to get us into those seats. And the question is, with this cast, which we have a very familiar lead coming to us, and I'm going to butcher that poor man's name, but I'm going to say Yahya. Oh, Yahya. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who we know from Watchmen.
Yes.
Emmy Award. I didn't say it right. Emmy Award winning. Yahya.
And Trial of Chicago 7.
So he really is hot fire right now. Teyonah Parris, along with Nathan Stewart-Jarrett and Coleman Domingo. That's just going to be interesting.
Yes.
Are all in it. Now, the cast isn't like overtly well known, but neither really was the first Candyman. So the question then becomes this. It's brilliant because you're going to get all the Gen Xers out. They want to see this again. Mm-hmm. Then you've got this young, fresh cast, and you may get the millennials may come out.
Yeah.
Maybe some Gen Zers, possibly. Is this something that we're going to brave the elements to go see?
Wow. I like how you posited that, because the characters in here, they are millennials. They are Generation Z. So that'll pull them in, which is not too far from Gen X. I'm in an interesting position. I'm like the last year of Gen X for most sociologists. It's very strange. So I remember watching the original Candyman and looking at the mirror in the bathroom and going, don't say a word.
I wouldn't say it. I still don't say it, but 3.
Say nothing in front of the mirror.
It's like Beetlejuice.
Yes. It sure is. So I remember being spooked out of my mind watching Tony Todd as Candyman, Virginia Madsen. Very interesting what they were doing with the people who were involved in that movie. The characters.
It was, put it this way, it was early Virginia.
And look, they pull her back into this movie. Yes, they do. Not current Virginia from the past.
So they did a prequel sequel thing. Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. So this is a continuation of that. We've shuttled forward, of course, in time to 2019. Now, before we get to that, early on, we see in the 70s at Cabrini Green, a young kid.
In Chicago.
In Chicago.
You know, these Gen Z, because it's gone. Goodness. It's not a thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's come back to that. Thank you. Very good. So his mom is like, go do the laundry, fool. So he has to walk out. It's the project.
Just some kid?
Just a kid. He has to walk out to go do the laundry. The cops are sitting outside. Why? And he goes into the building, and there's a hole in the wall. And from this hole comes a piece of candy. Bleep, bleep, bleep. It goes.
Don't take it.
Then he sees something in the hole.
Oh, Lord.
Ah!
Oh, you're terrible. You're terrible.
The cops come running because they're looking for a suspect. And this suspect has been harming, killing children.
Oh, that's terrible.
Do they get their man? What happens to this young boy as a result? Shuttle forward from 77 to 2019. Like you said, Raph, Cabrini Green, the projects, non plus. There we go again.
There you go.
In its place, it's been gentrified. I mean, hey, it's swanky, as the old folks would say. Swank. Okay. And we are introduced to an artist and his girlfriend. They live together, who's a gallery director. The artist is Tony, played by Yahya. The gallery director, Brianna, is played by Teyonah. And boy, oh boy, are they living it up in Chicago, formerly Cabrini Green. I'm telling you that. The windows alone are enough for whatever they're paying. Now, we're introduced to them via the eyes of Brianna's brother. So the brother, he has a new boyfriend. He wants to bring the boyfriend to meet his sister. And they come and have dinner and all of that, and they're having a good time. And the brother decides to tell a scary story.
Of course. Why is it always a weird family member to tell the scary story?
Now, the reason he does it is to change the subject. You'll see what that is.
Oh,
okay, let me tell you a scary story. He dims the lights. He puts on the candles. And what story does he tell them?
Candyman story.
Well, I don't know. I didn't say.
No.
So you will see. But this leads to a certain curiosity because Tony hasn't been creating work for a long time. It's been Brianna who's been bringing in the bread.
Okay.
But he gets inspired and he finds out about Candyman because he goes to visit the local neighborhood and meets a man played by Coleman Domingo. Now, if you meet, if Coleman Domingo's telling you a story that's scary, run.
Please.
They're in the laundromat. I mean, get out of there.
Him or Keith David or David Keith. I can never remember
Keith
which
David,
order.
yes.
Keith David.
Keith David.
They tell you a story, you better get on out of there.
Keith David, infamously from Requiem for a Dream. I mean, come on.
Either David Keith or Keith David. Either of them tell you a story. So
Coleman is there. And what I love about Coleman is, if you don't know Coleman's work, everybody, he's a stage actor. Yeah. And sometimes when he's talking... And a playwright. But sometimes when he's talking, you can hear the stage diction. I love it. I won't tell you when. Just look for it. There's a passage when he's like, I will master these words.
We love him. We love him.
So he tells Tony about the legend of Candyman. And this inspires Tony to come up with a new exhibit. He needs it. I mean, because, the guy who found him and put him into an exhibit right out of graduate school is like, where's the work? You're the only one not showing me. Get it together. You can't just run off of your girlfriend. So this piece he comes up with is attached to Candyman. How is it received?
Oh,
there's a little critic who comes in. What does she think about it? And all of this is about gentrification, of course. So what they've done is taken the Candyman legend and made it woke, made it all of that kind of stuff. Okay, it's comments on police brutality and gentrification. But beyond that, what it is, they're trying to reclaim that gentrification narrative. So what's the pain that leads to it? What's the pain that's underneath it? And what are the pain or the things that are painful that come as a result of it?
Is this a horror film or is this a what's happening?
Well, as a result of this, people say Candyman 5 times in mirrors.
Oh, no.
What happens there? I mean, when he first goes to the place where the Candyman was, he gets stung by a bee.
Okay.
We see bees all over the place. So,
and it's not Beyonce.
It is not. No, it's not the Beehive. You don't look. We know the Beehive. Don't say nothing about Beyonce. They will sting you, but not like this. I'm sorry. Okay, not like this. Not like this.
Think about that like 3 times a week.
So, that's a good question though, Ref, because this reclamation of that, it was stale to me. Stale. Now they are referencing Virginia Madsen from the first film, of course, because she got all this attention because she was a white woman. Now, is that still the case? There's this whole thing going on. The whole moment we're in now, and I just saw they did a survey on this, the TV industry, people outside of it. How are they receiving wokeness, essentially? Do you think that TV is too woke? Do we think movies are too woke? I would say this, and I've always said it. If you're going to do something important, you can't forget strong storytelling. The story is first. I'm over it. Where are the scares? This wasn't scary. The pacing. Pick it up. I mean, it's an hour and a half about, but still pick it up. And it's supposed to be entertainment. You need to let it speak for itself instead of teaching. There's a moment when they literally teach you the history. I'm like, okay. Before the scary story, that whole scene, I'm like, all right. And then throughout the movie, the more you teach, the less profound it becomes. The viewer needs room to think and breathe on their own without your directions. Now, aesthetically, I liked a lot of the choices. Okay, so Nia directed Little Woods before, an indie movie with Tessa Thompson.
Yes.
So, she has a certain sensibility. The aesthetics, I didn't mind, even when sometimes there's like this, they illustrate certain things in an interesting way. So those choices I thought were cool. There's some technical skill here. It is smooth. Like it's a smooth presentation. The performances for the most part were smooth as well. And I think for the writing, the dialogue could be troubling because of the teaching part of it. But the best idea they had was the incorporation of a Black artist who now lives amidst the trappings of privilege in a revitalized Cabrini Green and his obsession with the Candyman legend. You'll see what comes of that. And there's something going on in his background and in Brianna's background that comes to Earth. So I think that could have been mined more to anchor this film without the didacticism.
Oh, now you're teaching.
Well, and without falling off a cliff at the end. So look, here's the point, and I'm done. Horror films need to be scary or fun or both, or what's the point? So would I go to see this in a theater? I would not. The first one to me scared me out of my skin.
Oh, yeah. Everybody.
Yeah. This did not. But it is polished. The thing I was thinking, Ref, to answer this question was, if you were in a theater of people, would it like enhance the experience?
Yes.
I don't know. There's just too much of we're going to be profound and make points instead of just scaring the people out of their pants. Like, come on. You've got to do that first. Is it bad? I wouldn't call it bad. I would say it's mediocre.
Okay. Well, this is something that you can see starting August 27th in the theaters right now. That's the only way to see it. And remember, this is coming to us from Universal. So it isn't like HBO Max where they simultaneously release it on, you're not going to be able to see this on Peacock right now.
Right.
Eventually, I'm sure, but not right now.
The original is on Peacock.
The original. And, I avoided the question, who is Candyman now? But we won't go into that.
Maybe there's more than one.
Maybe there's more than one. I knew you wouldn't give us a lot to chew on, but The Night House is something that is currently in the theaters, and we have a feeling that probably will be available wide on demand soon. But you have to go to the theater to see The Night House and Candyman.
Thanks for listening. For additional resources, visit WhyWatchThat.com.
Good idea, and we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and leave comments, feedback, And you can rate us on iTunes.
We'll see you next week.
See you!